Moses had was a shepherd's rod and a tied tongue. But God took tailor-made lumber and a tied-tongue shepherd, sent him from the backside of Midian into the shining courts of Pharaoh and told him, let my people go. Took the same rod and turned the sea into a sidewalk. You got to give him something to work with. All David had was a slingshot and 5 smooth stones. Went up against a giant and with one slingshot cast the rock into the forehead of a giant, and you could hear the reverberating sounds of a giant falling to his death because he gave God something to work with. All Paul and Silas had was a wing and a prayer at the stroke of midnight as they became incarcerated in a Philippian jail. But they sang and prayed hymns unto God, and the prayer meeting was so powerful, the ground got happy. Shook jail cells and chains are loose, and let the jailbird preachers free because they gave him something to work with. All Nelson Mandela had was 27 years of his life given to a South African prison system. But he gave 27 years of his life, tore down an apartheid government, and the same nation that put him in prison had to watch him become president because he gave God something to work with. Barack Obama was a rookie senator from Chicago, white mama, African daddy with an Arabic name, broke the color barrier in the White House with the audacity of hope because he gave God something to work with. And one Friday on a hill called Calvary, all Jesus had was 2 nails and 1 spike and 1 spear and a thorny crown on top of his head. But I tell you what, he took what he had, dropped his head in the locks of his shoulder on a Friday, took out a loan, borrowed another man's tomb, paid it back 3 days later, stood upon resurrection ground, having conquered death, hell, the grave, sin, and Satan, declaring, I got all power. I ought to have about 10 or 12 witnesses right now. All power in my hand.